The massive digital scoreboards across every single stadium in Major League Baseball are currently catching fire, and the absolute center of this massive destruction is the most terrifying physical collision between the two greatest athletes on the planet. Aaron Judge just launched a monstrous home run with a terrifying exit velocity on the East Coast. And only a few short hours later, Shohei Ohtani stepped up to the plate and answered with an absolute cannon shot directly into the dark night sky over the Los Angeles Dodgers Stadium. A pure and brutal physical war is currently exploding across the entire country. The fans are screaming in absolute disbelief as the baseballs continue to fly out of the stadiums at record speeds. Will this angry and violent swing from the Japanese phenomenon be enough to crush the absolute physical dominance of the New York Yankees superstar? Or is this just the bloody beginning of a ruthless race to the World Series championship? Before we expose the brutal biomechanical truth behind these massive home runs, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss our breaking MLB coverage. The entire baseball universe desperately needs to see the absolute truth about this massive and terrifying physical rivalry. There is absolutely zero room for any physical weakness or mental hesitation in this terrifying rivalry. Every single massive home run is not just a simple run added to the scoreboard. Every single time the baseball violently flies into the deep outfield seats, it serves as a direct and devastating psychological attack on the superstar standing on the opposite coast. The sports media in New York and the reporters in Los Angeles are constantly comparing every single offensive metric. They are creating a massive wave of daily pressure that is impossible to escape. This relentless media comparison creates an incredibly toxic and suffocating atmosphere inside both dugouts. When Aaron Judge destroys a baseball into the upper deck, the terrifying highlight is immediately broadcasted onto the massive video screens all over Los Angeles. Shohei Ohtani is forced to watch his biggest rival completely dominate the opposing pitching staff while he patiently waits his turn in the on-deck circle. You can physically see the intense focus and the pure anger building in his eyes. This situation creates an unbelievable amount of invisible pressure on the kinetic chain and the resting heart rate of the Dodgers superstar. When Ohtani finally steps into the dirt of the batter box, he knows perfectly well that he absolutely must answer the physical challenge. He tightly grips the heavy wooden bat, knowing that millions of demanding fans expect him to hit the baseball just as hard and just as far as the massive captain of the Yankees. This ruthless home run race is so incredibly brutal that it absolutely refuses to allow either of these massive superstars a single day of physical rest or mental peace. They are completely trapped in a violent and endless cycle of massive exit velocities and terrifying daily expectations. The psychological warfare between the East Coast and the West Coast is slowly draining their physical energy. But neither man is ever willing to surrender the offensive crown. Every single violent swing of the wooden bat is a loud and aggressive message sent directly across the country. The Los Angeles Dodgers and the New York Yankees are watching their franchise players push the absolute extreme limits of human biomechanics. Dave Roberts and the medical staff are nervously watching the resting heart rate of their designated hitter constantly spike due to this massive psychological burden. The manager knows that his superstar player is swinging the heavy bat with absolute pure rage and pure adrenaline. The tension is so thick and so heavy that you can physically feel it radiating through the entire stadium. The fans in Los Angeles demand total perfection every single night because the fans in New York are getting total perfection from Aaron Judge. The brutal reality of this extremely dangerous situation is that one of these massive physical specimens will eventually break down under the immense pressure. The human body is simply not designed to swing a heavy wooden bat with maximum violent force for 6 straight months without suffering a massive structural failure in the muscles or the joints. But neither Shohei Ohtani nor Aaron Judge cares about the severe medical risks right now. They only care about hitting the baseball completely out of the stadium and utterly destroying the defensive confidence of the opposing team. We need to completely step away from the loud noise of the stadium crowd and step inside the dark video room. We must break down the pure biomechanical reality of these two massive swings. You cannot truly appreciate the historic magnitude of this legendary rivalry without looking very closely at the precise kinetic science behind the daily violence. Aaron Judge is completely destroying the baseball using the terrifying linear force of his massive upper body. When Judge steps into the batter box, he literally looks like a giant attacking a completely helpless target. He forcefully drives his massive cleats deep into the stadium dirt, and pushes his enormous chest forward with terrifying aggression. The incredible bat speed is generated purely by his massive arms and his incredibly thick shoulders. He completely overpowers the opposing pitcher with absolute brute strength and sheer physical size. There is absolutely no trickery or deception involved in his offensive approach. It is pure and violent kinetic aggression designed to crush the baseball into dust. His physical stride is perfectly measured to maximize the brutal collision between the wooden barrel and the incoming baseball. When he successfully connects with the pitch, the sound echoes through the entire stadium like a massive military explosion. The kinetic energy generated by Aaron Judge is entirely based on forward momentum and undeniable size. He creates a wall of pure force that completely overwhelms the physical properties of the baseball. But when you look closely at the offensive swing of Shohei Ohtani, you see a completely different type of biomechanical perfection. Ohtani does not rely on brute upper body mass to generate his terrifying exit velocity. He generates a massive amount of rotational torque from his flexible hips and his highly trained lower body. His entire kinetic chain is an absolutely flawless transfer of violent energy, starting from the dirt straight up through his core. He physically coils his body tightly like a heavy industrial spring, and then explodes through the strike zone with terrifying surgical precision. His heavy wooden bat whips through the air with incredible speed and a completely perfect upward trajectory. Aaron Judge destroys the baseball with the sheer terrifying power of a physical giant, while Shohei Ohtani completely assassinates the pitcher with the precise physical mechanics of a flawless machine. Ohtani waits for the absolute last microsecond before unleashing a violent rotation that completely shatters the confidence of the entire defense. He utilizes every single muscle fiber in his legs to initiate the swing. Both of these completely different kinetic approaches result in absolute devastation on the baseball field. If you want to see exactly how these two superstars completely break the laws of physics every single night, make sure you leave a comment right now and tell me whose swing mechanics you truly prefer. However, right now we are witnessing a terrifying breakdown in the perfect system of the Los Angeles superstar. Because of the intense psychological pressure applied by Aaron Judge, we are seeing severe kinetic flaws developing in the swing of Shohei Ohtani. His front plant foot is severely losing traction in the stadium dirt. Because his foot is slipping, the massive rotational torque from his flexible hips is severely delayed compared to the violent forward movement of his hands. This slight physical hesitation causes his heavy wooden bat to enter the strike zone a quarter of a second too late, while Aaron Judge is maximizing his massive physical frame to completely crush the opposing pitchers. The Japanese phenomenon is actively fighting a brutal war against his own body. Every single unbalanced swing is placing massive amounts of dangerous stress on his lower back and his repaired knees. The biomechanical difference between the two massive superstars right now is absolutely shocking and completely undeniable. Ohtani is currently relying purely on isolated arm strength to try and muscle the baseball out of the park. This completely ruins the flawless whip action that usually makes him the most dangerous hitter on the planet. The medical staff of the Los Angeles Dodgers is watching these violent and unbalanced swings with absolute horror. They know perfectly well that relying on upper body torque to overcompensate for lower body failure is the exact recipe for a massive season-ending injury. The ruthless wolves standing on the pitching mounds across the entire league can immediately smell the fresh blood leaking from the broken swing of the Los Angeles superstar. Opposing pitchers are no longer absolutely terrified of throwing the fastball directly over the middle of the home plate. They have completely scouted his new biomechanical weakness, and they are relentlessly attacking his inside corner with heavy fastballs. Ohtani used to be the absolute most terrifying hunter in the batter box, but right now, he is rapidly becoming the hunted victim at his own home plate. The psychological dominance has completely flipped upside down. Pitchers who used to sweat with extreme physical fear are now aggressively challenging him with absolute confidence. They know perfectly well that his delayed hip rotation simply cannot catch up to an elite fastball thrown on the inside corner. Meanwhile, absolutely nobody dares to make a single tiny mistake when Aaron Judge is standing tall at the plate. Opposing catchers are calling for pitches completely outside the zone just to avoid the terrifying physical wrath of the Yankees superstar. The rest of the league is violently exploiting the severe mechanical failure of Ohtani, and it is completely destroying the offensive rhythm of the entire Los Angeles Dodgers roster. Every time Ohtani swings late and misses the fastball, the opposing dugout absolutely erupts with confidence. They know they have successfully neutralized the biggest physical threat in the entire stadium. This sudden shift in power is forcing opposing managers to deploy their relief pitchers with extreme aggression. Dave Roberts is currently facing an absolute nightmare scenario in the Los Angeles dugout. The manager must quickly decide whether to let Ohtani fight through this miserable physical slump or violently force him to sit on the bench and completely reset his broken kinetic chain. Forcing the greatest baseball player on the planet to sit down is a terrifying gamble that could permanently cost the Dodgers their entire championship season. The superstar has an unbelievable competitive spirit, and he absolutely refuses to surrender to physical fatigue. But allowing him to continue swinging with a completely broken physical foundation could completely destroy his remaining muscle memory and lead to a catastrophic core muscle injury. This massive managerial dilemma could permanently hand the crown of baseball supremacy directly to the East Coast. Dave Roberts is losing sleep trying to fix a purely mechanical problem that only the body of Ohtani can truly solve. This terrifying and violent home run battle is just the brutal opening act for a massive historical collision that absolutely nobody can prevent. The New York Yankees and the Los Angeles Dodgers are currently locked on, a direct and completely unavoidable crash course for the World Series. The ultimate question is completely tearing the sports world apart right now. Are you going to bet your money on the massive and brutal linear strength of Aaron Judge, or are you going to trust the absolute biomechanical perfection of Shohei Ohtani when he finally fixes his kinetic chain? Tell me your exact prediction down in the comments section below. Make sure you hit the subscribe button right now to follow every single explosive moment of this legendary baseball rivalry.